water now. There we go. Um, so you need to gather evidence in order to support the fact that you feel confident in meeting life's challenges. If you have evidence that you have been able to meet life's challenges beforehand, you're going to feel more confident in meeting that challenge if you were to come across it again. But the process of feeling confident and building confidence will allow you to do that no matter whether it's a big obstacle or a small obstacle, or whether you have experienced the obstacle in the past as well. So the building confidence, building self-esteem, and overcoming imposter syndrome is very much about understanding our thoughts, our behaviours, our emotions, and how they affect each other. And that's called the cognitive triangle. And you may have heard of CBT before, but it's extremely important in understanding yourself, in personal growth, in understanding the thoughts that are limiting your confidence and your self-esteem, and definitely the thoughts that come in with imposter syndrome as well, and also the feelings as well, and how we act as well. And these are all things that need to be looked at in order to build the confidence. Okay, so what can we do to build confidence? Now, a CBT technique called Rehearsal is extremely useful. This is useful if you are aware of a situation beforehand. So if you have something coming up, you can prepare for it, and basically you rehearse a situation or event beforehand, or it could be a conversation that you are going to have with someone, and you may not feel confident about it. But actually, if you kind of rehearse it, it can be in front of a mirror, it can be recording it, it can just be saying it to yourself, and just going through what will happen, what will be said, going through the possibilities. It allows you to become more aware as well, because as you go through it, you can become aware of the thoughts and the feelings that you have towards it, and stuff that makes you feel less confident about approaching that obstacle. If you have rehearsed it, you'll feel more confident going into the challenge as well. So it's something that helps you prepare, and you may not be the most confident of people, but if you're prepared beforehand, you can act confident, and that's going to allow you to feel more confident in the long run. Yeah, so this technique, it helps build confidence, reassurance, and self-awareness. It takes a little bit of time, but even if you just do it for like 10 minutes, it can make a real difference. It's quite similar to the technique that athletes use, professionals use before an event, called visualization as well, where you visualize how an event's going to go, what you want to do and achieve from the event. You visualize a positive outcome, and that can help you be prepared, feel more confident, think positively, and have the right mindset going into a challenge. There are some other ways. So decrease the negativity and increase the positivity. So this isn't just your mindset in your thoughts, this is in your life as well. It can be people around you, whether they're positive or the negative. It can be influenced in social media. A good technique is to go through social media, and if it's negative or makes you feel bad, unfollow that. Or if it's, say it's on Facebook and there's a person that posts quite negative things, maybe unfollow them. You don't have to unfriend them, but unfollow their posts so you don't see those negative posts. And by increasing the positivity that's in your life, you're going to be thinking more positively. And also, if you're more positive in yourself, in your thoughts and your feelings, and your actions are going to be more positive, and that's going to help you build the confidence up. change the impression you give to others. So this is really important. So we can act confident even if we aren't confident, and I will be going over how later. But if we give the impression that we are confident to others and they think we are confident, that's really important. And the impression we give to others can be what we say, it can be how we look like, can be our attitude towards things. It can be just the way we speak, the tone that we speak, whether we're confident. So that might be, are we dressed confident? Are we acting confident? Are we constantly glancing towards the door? Are we sure on what we're saying? All of those things kind of change the impression that we give out to other people. So if we act confident, then people are more likely to think we're confident, and we're more likely to feel confident as well. So yeah, so looking at the impression that you give to others is important. Be prepared. If you're prepared for an obstacle, and have steps in place and you feel prepared, the more prepared you are for it, the more confident you're going to look, the more confident you're going to feel, and that helps build confidence over time. Okay, find direction and make lists. Um, so finding direction is about knowing what you're heading towards, your dreams, what you're working on. Lists is about just making lists of what you've got to do. It may be goals, and it's all about knowing where you're heading. If you are sure on where you're heading, if you have a particular goal, this might be a career, it may be that you want to run a marathon, it could be anything. If you've got something that you're working towards, and you're taking steps to move forward, you're going to feel more confident in yourself, you're going to feel a sense of achievement, and that's going to build that portfolio that we were talking about earlier, in order to build confidence and feel more confident. Okay, so self-development. Self-development is extremely important, because it allows you to become more aware of yourself. It allows you to recognize your strengths. It allows you to recognize your weaknesses. It allows you to improve on the strengths, and it allows you to turn those weaknesses into either lesser weaknesses, or you can actually turn those weaknesses into strengths. And that process of growth will allow you to feel confident in your abilities, more aware of your abilities, as well. And it can just take 5-10 minutes at the beginning of the day. Watch YouTube. There's plenty of books out there. Reflect. Take a moment to reflect. Like, there are so many things that you can do for self-development that don't take up much time. So it's just like really important. It's really easy, and it can make a lot of difference. Okay, so stretching your comfort zone. This comes down to confidence in being able to meet the obstacles. When we are in our comfort zone, we feel pretty confident that we can meet the obstacles that are in our lives. But as soon as we leave that comfort zone, that's when we start to get anxious about it, and that's where we either grow or we panic. Okay, and I've just got these diagrams to kind of help you understand that. So I love the one, I think it should be on your left of your screen, the circle one, because it kind of goes through the whole period, kind of whole process. So you've got the comfort zone, you feel safe, you feel great, you feel like you can meet the obstacles, and then you're kind of stepping out of your comfort zone, and you have this kind of fear zone. This is when you will lack the confidence, you'll find excuses, you'll be affected by others' opinions and actions. Um, you may panic, you may then kind of avoid that thing, and step back into your comfort zone. But actually it's about learning, and that's where the self-development comes in, knowing yourself, um, and growing as people so that we can actually manage what's out of our comfort zone. And then we can face the challenges, and then we can acquire the new skills, we can extend this comfort zone, so actually it takes more and more to get into that fear zone. And as soon as we are in the learning zone, as soon as we even have the mindset that, okay, we have this challenge but I'm going to learn how to tackle it, we're in the learning zone, and then we go into the growth zone when we then grow from it, when we learn from it. And that's kind of like when we move forward. And it's it's by doing that we you get more confident, that our comfort zone and our confidence are directly related. If you see people that act confident all the time, it's because they they're in their comfort zone, or they're used to challenging their comfort zone and kind of meeting those challenges. But as soon as you start to struggle stepping out of your comfort zone, that's when the fear zone comes in, and we have those self-doubts, we have those, we start to lack that confidence, we get the thoughts, we have to get the feelings, and we tend to kind of retreat into that comfort zone, and that's when the confidence kind of starts to kind of decrease, and the kind of task of increasing that comfort zone kind of gets like bigger and bigger. um, the graph on the right is quite good as well, because it kind of shows that we kind of, when things are easy, when we're in the comfort zone, um, things might be easy, but then we've got the kind of growth edge, so we're kind of stepping out of it, that's the process of growth. And then if we go too far, we kind of hit the panic zone, hit the red zone, and it's about stepping out of your comfort zone enough that we're kind of growing, we are able to learn, we're able to grow, um, and kind of tackle that fear zone without panicking. So it's kind of like getting the balance, and that will depend on you and being more self-aware, which again, self-development will make you more aware of what you can do, what your capabilities are. And the graph kind of cuts out, but it's capacity versus our feeling of being able to cope, um, as well. So the comfort zone is about recognizing our capacity, knowing what we're able to cope with, and kind of increasing that, so that our capacity gets higher as well, as our feeling of being able to cope. And if we feel we're able to cope, we're going to be able to feel that we're able to meet the challenges, and then we're going to build confidence. Okay. So how? Oh, I went too far. There we go. How do we act confidently? So you may have heard the phrase, um, act it until you make it. And that's the case with confidence as well. You can be the least confident person, but give the impression that you're confident. So you can do this by mimicking confident people. You may have someone that you can think of and you're like, they're really confident, I aspire to be that confident. And by looking at how they act, how they behave, the mannerisms, the posture, the way that they speak, um, then we can um, actually act confidently, um, as well, and that's really important. So yeah, so you may want to look at their lives, what they do. They may have like a certain routine as well, before an event, before they compete. It depends on who else. I've got The Rock on there, just because he's a great inspirational speaker, actor. he's just really good, and he's really confident. So, for me, like I'd look at how he's confident, how he acts, kind of like his mannerisms, and go from there. Okay, so practice being assertive. It means you clearly explain what you need or want from someone, without being pushy or trying to frighten them. A balance between aggressive and passive communication. If we're constantly passive, then we're not going to get what we want. Our confidence will be lower because we don't feel like we're able to kind of get what I want. If we're aggressive as well, then that kind of shows that you're insecure um, in yourself, because you feel like you need to be aggressive in order to get what you want. But being assertive is a balance. It's about being firm about what you want without negatively impacting the other person. Okay, so dress well. Dress in a way that makes you feel comfortable. So be clean, correct for the occasion. If you've got a smart event, if you've got an interview, dress smartly. But it's about finding what's comfortable for you. But make sure it's clean, make sure it's presentable, and that will give the impression that you are confident. Also got eye contact. Eye contact and smiling can help you feel more confident and give the impression that you are confident. It also is a great way to make you smile. If you smile, then you release serotonin, and you feel better about yourself um, as well. And if you feel better about yourself, you're going to feel more confident um, as well. Okay, so body language. Body language is great. If you're closed off, you've got your arms crossed, you're not going to be very approachable, you're not going to feel very confident. If you're constantly faced towards the door, then you're not going to come across as confident. So posture, what you do with your hands, like open your hands, cross, how we sit. Are we on the edge of our seat wanting to get up, or are we kind of sit like comfortably but kind of like not not exactly, if it's not like a social occasion, you don't want to be like slouched or looking extremely comfortable. But it's about adjusting to the situation in terms of body language. Are we slightly leaning forward? Are we showing that we're interested in the other person? Obviously, don't go right forward, but just slightly like leaning forward. Now, Amy Cuddy has a great TED talk on body language and communication. So if you want to go and learn some more about that, she's a really good place to start, and TED Talks are great for self-development as well. Okay, so tone of voice. Are you speaking hesitantly? How about volume? If you're quiet, then you're not going to come across as confident. Are you speaking softly? You know, tone as well is extremely important. So all of these things kind of affect how you come across, whether you come across confident or not. Okay, so confidence versus arrogance. So confidence attracts people. You may feel like when someone's confident, you're kind of drawn to them and you're more likely to listen. Whereas if somebody's arrogant, you may find that you're not wanting to touch them. You may feel repelled by them, and that's kind of like a difference. Kind of arrogance is kind of like negative confidence. When you're confident, you're aware of your strengths and weaknesses. Um, Whereas if you're arrogant, you kind of feel like you have to prove them. Um, okay. Confidence determined means that you're determined to use your strengths to the best of their ability. Whereas again with arrogance, it's about having to prove it to other people, and it's about a sense of security that you're arrogant, being arrogant of your ability because it gives you security, which is kind of ironic because it kind of shows that maybe you're not confident, or maybe you're confident without self-esteem. To kind of act like that and feel like you have to act like that. Confidence lifts and encourages others. If you're around confident people, you're going to start feeling more confident. It's contagious. It's like really important. Okay. Arrogance kind of does the opposite. That it kind of brags, belittles, and deflates others. The kind of difference between them is the difference between being positive and arrogance. and being negative, it's difference between being aware of your strengths or weaknesses and feeling like you have to prove those strengths and weaknesses, because if you're confident in your strengths and weaknesses, then you don't have to prove it. You don't have to prove your worth because you're confident in it. Okay, so just going to self-esteem. Okay, self-esteem, what is it? It is your own personal evaluation of self-worth. Self-esteem encompasses your beliefs about yourself. So I will go over in the next slide. I'm going to go over the difference between self-esteem and self-confidence. There is a difference. There's a clear difference between the two. So, and I love this. Self-worth comes from one thing: a belief that you are worthy. That's really important. That sense of self-worth, knowing your worth, knowing who you are, knowing your strengths, even being aware of your weaknesses, but feeling positive about it, and the self-development really comes in there, in kind of building those weaknesses up. Okay, so difference between confidence and self-esteem. So confidence is a belief in your abilities to succeed, whereas self-esteem is an overall evaluation, either positive or negative, you have in your society, on yourself. And so you may have fantastic self-esteem, you're going to feel really positive about yourself, and who you are, your abilities and everything like that. But if you don't have the belief in your abilities to succeed, then you're going to have high self-esteem with low confidence, which is why you kind of have to kind of have both. And although similarities, there is important differences. With confidence, having faith in oneself plays a major role. It's all about task-based evaluation as well. It's about meeting the challenges, it's about meeting the demands. Whereas self-esteem is about self-evaluation. It's about your own personal kind of abilities, and strengths, and the beliefs that you hold upon yourself. So I kind of summarize that with confidence is the external. It's the kind of feeling, the kind of yeah, you're kind of like how much you feel you're able to cope with the challenges that are before you. Whereas self-esteem is about your internal beliefs about yourself rather than meeting any challenges. So what impacts our self-esteem? So first off, the value we put on others' view of you. How important what others think of you. Like, bless me. So value you put on others is extremely important. If you put high value on that and you think it's extremely important how others what others think of you, then you're going to be more influenced by them. You're going to be more worried about what they think. You're going to be more impacted by what they think of you, their opinion of you, um, and it's not healthy, and it means your self-esteem, if it's based on what others think of you, it's not based on yourself, and it's very fragile, because if one person says one comment that isn't entirely positive, then you're going to think badly about yourself, and you're not going to be able to take criticism. You may struggle to take compliments. So that's really important. Okay, so how do you see yourself? Do you put yourself down? Do you have too high expectations? If you're constantly putting yourself down, then you're going to feel quite negative about yourself. If you give yourself a prep talk, it can be 10 seconds, and it's been proven in studies to have a massive difference in self-esteem, and it's because if you think negative about yourself, of course you're going to be negative. If you think positively about yourself, you're going to think positive about yourself. Um, and it's the same with expectations. If you have high expectations and you set them too high and you're constantly not meeting those expectations, you're going to think badly of yourself because you're not meeting those expectations. You're going to have low self-esteem, you're going to have low confidence. Okay. Our experiences. Okay, these are like our life experiences. So if we experience bullying, if we experience an embarrassing event, if our friendships aren't exactly positive, or if we struggle to make friendships, then it's going to affect how we see ourselves. It's going to affect our self-esteem. Okay, focus on the past. Are we not forgetting our mistakes? If we constantly think about our mistakes, about if we hung up by, oh, I did that one thing yesterday or last week, or even like a year ago, and and you put your value on and your value and your worth, because that's what it is. That's what self-esteem is. It's your value and your worth and how you view it. If you put your worth on a small mistake, it may feel like a big mistake to you, but if you put your worth on that mistake, then you're going to have low um, self-esteem. You're also going to think more negatively about yourself, and also probably going to feel quite negative about your life. You're probably going to start to miss the positives that are going on, if you're too focused on the past and your past mistakes. And also, if you're too focused on the past and you're not living in the moment and you're not focused on the future. So yeah, that's a big thing. Influences in our life. Do people put, put you down? Are you surrounded by negative influences? This is the same with confidence. If we are surrounded by negative influences in our social media and in our social circles, even those close to us, then that's going to have a massive impact on how we see ourselves. So just 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 be aware of the influences, and this is the music you listen to. This is the films that you watch, things that you read. They can all have a massive impact on how you see yourself and your identity as well, and your sense of identity and your sense of worth. Life events. This may seem similar to the art experiences, but this is more about what's kind of going on in the moment. If you have lots of stressors, then this is going to really impact you. It means that if you've got lots going on, then you're going to feel less likely to meet the demands. You're going to have less self-confidence, but also because of that stress, you're going to feel more negative. Your self-esteem might be lower, and also if you kind of fail to meet like one thing that is going on, or you're struggling with one thing, then you're going to think, oh, I'm struggling with that, I'm not capable of doing it, and think bad of yourself and your abilities. Okay, so how can we build our self-esteem? So identify and challenge your negative beliefs. This is extremely important. You do these in a lot of ways. You've got thought diaries, record thoughts, whether writing it down or video or voice recordings. Look at your negative beliefs. Why do you think that? Challenge it. Is it based on evidence? Is it true? And even if it is true, by challenging it, it could be like, okay, that's something I've got to work on. Okay, I really hate presentations. They make me feel awful. Okay, why do you feel that way? Oh, I did this one presentation in like a couple of years ago, and it went really badly. I didn't feel confident. I stammered. I really messed up. I forgot to say all of these things. Be like, okay, I've got to improve my presentation skills, and it may be being more prepared. It may be running through beforehand, like knowing stuff, and that can really impact it. And by doing that, you're working on it, and you'll feel a lot better about yourself as well. As the approach is extremely important. Identify the positive about yourself. I feel like, especially when you have low self-esteem, it's really hard to pick yourself back up because you're always focusing on like the negative stuff. Oh, I can't do this. I can't do that. I'm not capable of doing that. Well, actually, okay, yeah, maybe you can't do that, but if you think, okay, but I can do this, however small, it adds up. And by focusing on that positives, it's extremely important and extremely good at increasing your self-confidence and increasing your self-esteem. Build positive relationships. You've got to have positive relationships. If they're constantly putting you down, then or making you feel bad, then you're going to feel bad about yourself. So build positive relationships. Build a positive relationship with yourself. Build positive relationships with those around you. And that has like a real impact in how we see ourselves. If we've got great friendships, great people around us, we're going to feel good. And that's going to have a massive impact on our self-esteem. Give yourself a break. Oh, this is like extremely important because a lot of the times we're so hung up about the mistakes. Maybe we didn't do that. Maybe we didn't do this. But actually, we forget to give ourselves a bit of self-compassion, bit bit of love towards ourselves. We forget to love ourselves. We forget to give ourselves a break. We forget that okay, we need to take a step back. Maybe we need to relax. Maybe just give yourself a break. Stop being so hard on yourself. You have enough going on in your life that you don't need to be your own worst enemy as well. Become more assertive. This is the same with confidence. Being more assertive means that you're going to get what you want. And I already kind of talked about that, so I'm just not going to talk much further than that because you already heard it. Improve on areas which impact your self-esteem. If you know that physical appearance is a big thing for you, what solution is that? How are you going to go about working on that? Maybe you really struggle with your walking. Okay, maybe you're going to build up walking in increments. Maybe it's public speaking. Maybe go and practice and rehearse, like we talked earlier, rehearsal. Maybe go and rehearse what's going to go on. Maybe you're going to give yourself a challenge that by this time next year, you are going to do a public speaking event. Okay. And that's about stepping over your comfort zone that we talked earlier. So really kind of improve on those areas, do the self-development, set aside time each day and really focus on, okay, what am I building up? And you may feel like you have to take on everything all at once, but please don't. That's the way to get overwhelmed. Just pick one small thing. Just pick one thing. Okay, today, this week, this month, I'm only going to focus on this. This is what I am focusing on, and just focus on that, and then you're going to feel great, and it's going to affect your self-esteem. It's going to affect your confidence. So, if you work on that, okay. For example, it may be, oh, I just waste my morning. So it might be, I'm going to do a morning routine. It's going to help me feel very positive. I'm going to get stuff done. I'm going to use my time wisely. It might be, my organisational skills are rubbish. Like, okay, what are you going to do about it? And you can get a calendar. You're going to work on your time management. You're going to work on planning. What's going on? And just improve those areas. Take on challenges as well. And when you're low in confidence, when you're low in self-esteem, taking on challenges may seem the last thing that you want to do, but it's one of the best things. We talked about earlier with confidence, build a portfolio of things that you can do. You take on a challenge and you win, you are going to feel great. And you're going to build your confidence, you're going to grow as a person, you're going to build your self-esteem, and you're going to feel great. Okay. Just going to go over imposter syndrome. just going to show you this video, as it says it's so much better than I can do it. Okay. Gonna open. Okay, it's opening. Oh, that's why. Stop sharing. Share something new. Um. Um. You see my internet at the moment. It's motivational video. It's just so important to get that done. Okay. Um. It's up to you. Okay. It's always one technical problem at an event, isn't it? Okay. Syndrome. Copy. Just copy and paste the link. Copy it out that way. Okay. Doing a lot at the moment. Just being slow because technology never works when you want it to. But let me know if I'm going too fast. Let me know if you have any questions, whether you're watching this live in the chat or maybe in the comments, or I will give you my email later as well. You can ask any questions whether you're watching this live or later recording of it. Let's share screen. To see this one when it loads. As you can see, Um, I have YouTube videos up all the time. I'll be working um, all the time. I have a motivational video up, and this is extremely helpful for me. Helps me the please remove this window away. Why? It's it wasn't too happy with that. Okay. There I've got closed some tabs. I always have so many tabs open. Okay. Sorry about this. If
You don't think you deserve your success. You feel like your success is because of luck or something other than your own hard work. Do you also refuse to believe in those who try to validate your success? A sign of imposter syndrome is attributing your success to external forces instead of acknowledging your abilities. In 1978, Clance and Emez interviewed successful women at the top of their fields and found that many of them felt that their success was due to luck or mistake rather than their own hard work. 2. You're a perfectionist or a procrastinator. Do you wait until the last minute to complete your work or put more time and effort into a project than necessary to make something perfect? If you have imposter syndrome, you may turn to procrastination and perfectionism as coping mechanisms for your feelings of inadequacy. You may wait until the last minute to start working or constantly overwork yourself so you can attribute your success to luck or hard work instead of your own abilities. 3. You're afraid of being exposed as a fake. Do you usually feel anxious and scared that your peers will realize you're a fake? Even famous American poet and author Maya Angelou was scared she'd be found as a fake whenever she published a new book. This is due to imposter syndrome being linked to low self-confidence. Because of it, you may believe that you're untalented or that you need to work even harder so others won't notice your lack of talent or ability. 4. You fear failure. Do you feel really ashamed or humiliated when you fail at something? People with imposter syndrome tend to feel high levels of anxiety surrounding failure. You might replay your mistakes in your head, which can worsen your fear and overwhelm you. This fear of failure can parallel a need to be the best. 5. You need to be the best. Have you ever felt overwhelmed when you're in a competition full of people who are as successful as you? When you're so used to being the best, you might find it overwhelming to be in a situation where other people are also as good as you. In this case, you may be disappointed by your own abilities or feel as though you're an imposter. You might put yourself down or resort to calling yourself untalented to try to reconcile your feelings of underperformance in comparison to your peers. And number 6, you constantly compare your success to others. Do you always compare yourself to people who are more successful than you? People with imposter syndrome may feel let down by their abilities when they compare themselves with others. You feel like your success is because of luck or something other than your own to those who have more experience. You might feel guilty for not doing as well or for not achieving similar results as a professional. Do you struggle with imposter syndrome or know someone that does? Tell us about it in the comments below. If you liked this video, please like and share it with others who might find it helpful too.
just kind of had to listen to that instead of okay. Just all about play a motivational video. Sorry about this. Okay, share screen. Get back to the presentation. So I don't know whether you heard much about that. But I will just summarize that really. Um, okay, so it's about wanting to be the best, but you kind of feel like you're a fraud, and you're doubting your abilities. So it isn't a mental health condition. It is an experience. Um, but it it's not something that isn't ignored. I don't think a lot of people realize they have it. 78% of people will experience it at some point in their life. Um, um, and it's a feeling of belief or inadequacy or self-doubt, often associated with high achievers. So if you feel this way, you're often more capable than you think. I think this is because if you have imposter syndrome, you're more likely to overwork yourself, and because you feel like you're a fraud, so you feel like you have to work hard in order to kind of show to people that you aren't a fraud, and kind of justify your successes as well. Um, and you often won't feel like a success is because of your abilities. You'll think, oh, it's hard work, or I just got lucky, rather than okay, I actually worked really hard for that. I'm actually a really capable person, and I'm really good at that, and that's why I succeeded. Okay, no, I put this up very well. Don't know if you can, on my screen, it shows the overcoming imposter syndrome over these kind of slides. So you can see that it's kind of a snippet on like what we're going to go through. But okay, so imposter syndrome affects you because it impacts your confidence and self-esteem, and that's why um I've put it in this event on building confidence and self-esteem, because this is something that really impacts self-esteem. And a lot of people with low confidence or low self-esteem actually have imposter syndrome. And as I said, 70% of people will have it at some point in their life, and not realise it. So, but building confidence, building self-esteem, like it all comes into overcoming imposter syndrome as well. And overcoming imposter syndrome is going to help you with confidence and self-esteem. It impedes career growth, because you you're less likely to go for promotion because you won't feel like you deserve it, or you might feel that if you're feeling like a fraud, you're not suddenly going to go for promotion because you don't feel like you deserve it, or you're capable of doing it, or you should really be doing it. And you're probably worried that other people will see you as a fraud, especially if you fail. So you'll probably have fear of failure as well. Restricts innovation and risk taking. You're not going to take risks if you feel like um, you're not able to do it, if are not confident in your abilities. Um, it really affects your mental health, and hopefully you can see that. And hopefully it's just my screen. It really affects your mental health um, as well, because if you're feeling like a fraud, you're not going to have good self-esteem. You're not going to have good confidence in your abilities, and that's going to really impact your sense of self, and also what you go for in life, and what you feel you can go for in life, and how you view your life as well. And it's going to have a real negative impact. Also can have effect with others, relationships we have with others, because it will affect our actions. I showed you the cognitive triangle earlier. Our thoughts, our feelings affect our actions. If we're feeling insecure, then we're going to act insecure. If we're feeling that we're not capable of doing something, then we're going to act like we're not capable of doing something. Um, Also as well, if you are a leader, like at work, and you have imposter syndrome, it's going to affect your leadership and your management. Um, okay. Overcoming imposter syndrome. Okay, so see the problem and acknowledge the problem. So recognizing that you have imposter syndrome is the first step to overcoming it, because as soon as we acknowledge it, then we can work on finding a solution for it. Stop making excuses, be honest with yourself and accept the evidence. You may feel like, oh no, that was just one bad day at work, but acknowledging that no, it's a pattern, it is something that you're experiencing, accept that evidence, and be honest with yourself as well. And I think those that experience imposter syndrome, they're looking at things and gaining a perspective of things through a false lens. They're looking at the lens, I'm a fraud, I'm not capable of doing this, I'm not able to. So they are seeing things through a false lens. They're seeing things through that perspective when actually they're not saying that they're really capable, they've made a really positive difference, they're really good at this, they've worked hard to get there. Like they're not seeing all of that. So being honest with yourself, and looking at it like that. Be realistic. Continue to challenge yourself, but you must be realistic. If you challenge yourself too far, like we talked about earlier, you'll be going out of your comfort zone too far. Take incremental steps. Okay, so plan ahead. Know what success looks like, but don't move forward onto the next step until you acknowledge the current progress. Okay, so if you feel like a fraud, actually kind of to yourself, kind of going, okay, but what does a success look like? What does someone who is actually capable of doing this job look like? What does it mean? What does it mean? And once you know that, you can kind of look about, okay, I tick these boxes. I can do this. Okay, I'm not a fraud. Or it might be like, okay, what is success? Okay, I may not be meeting what I think success looks like, but I can work towards it. Or it might be like, okay, I'm actually quite successful according to my own criteria. And make sure that you don't move on to the next step of your plan until you recognize your current progress. And this is extremely important. Once you're able to recognize your success and your progress, what it is, and not luck or a mistake or something you shouldn't have, you're much more likely to overcome it and recognize your capabilities. Take stock, reflect regularly on your progress. This is just because if you are seeing the small progresses, you're much more likely to accept small victory rather than looking at a massive progress. Or so if you're reflecting on a year, you may not think you have done much, but if you reflect on, okay, today what have I done? Okay, I've done this, this, and this, and then build that up. It's going to change the way that you look at things. It's going to take the way you the perspective you have on what goes on in your life. Remember, you're a human. It is normal and okay to not know everything or not be good at everything. Remember this we all have bad days. We all have those times where we don't succeed. We all have those times where we're not good at something. We're not good at everything. We all have our strengths. We all have our weaknesses. And it's completely normal and it's completely okay. So just remember you're human. So stop being so tough on yourself and love yourself. Okay, so lastly, accept failure. Stop chasing perfection. Perfection isn't attainable and you are always not going to succeed. So I kind of touched upon this a little bit, but perfection is not attainable. If you're constantly chasing perfection, you're setting yourself up for failure. You're setting yourself up for failure before you even attempt something. So make sure you know what you're looking to achieve, what it looks like to achieve that thing, and then realize that, okay, you may make mistakes along the way, but pick yourself up, learn from it, grow, continue to work towards that step. Okay, so thank you for listening. I know I talked on and I know there's technical issues. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. that is my email. I'll answer it if you're watching this back. Please feel free to do that, whether it be about this event, other events, or just anything in general you need support with. Please contact that. I am free to talk. Also, I didn't put a link, but if you go to linktree/drops of joy, you can find all my other social medias. Contact me on there. You can find blogs, podcasts, things to support yourself with, as well. So that might be useful. So thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. I've really enjoyed it. I will send you the presentation and I'll send you the recording of this presentation.